Okay.
Yeah, there we
Oh, did you find me?
go. Yep, I found you.
Awesome,
I got an
awesome.
ad, and then I'll be able to actually see.
Okay, so guys, I'm super excited. If I'm a little hoarse tonight, it's because I spent the yesterday coaching for 2 hours, and my voice is a little gone. Just so you guys know. But we're gonna do a pre-ban list discussion. As you guys know, the ban list is coming up here in March, and we're really excited to talk about what could be possibly hit, what stays safe, what could become semi-limited. So we can't wait to jump into it. But before we do, I want to introduce our two guests that we've got on the channel today. So the first one here is Diablos. If you guys watch the channel on a regular basis, you know that he does extremely well in our online Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. Congrats to you, Diablos, on getting over that hump of being in second often and finishing in first last time, and with all decks unchained. That was awesome. So we're very excited to
It was
have you here.
unexpected for me too. I wasn't expecting to win.
Uh-huh.
I was just playing.
Yeah, and it was awesome. I thought you did a fantastic job. And
Thank you.
new to our channel, if you guys watched my YouTube channel, you just saw his awesome deck profile. If you haven't, you got to check it out. It's on Penguin Control. But we've got Big Totally Awesome, also known as Big Toads 2197. And I've got his YouTube channel there for you guys so that you can follow him. Welcome to the channel.
Oh, I'm very excited to be here. This is gonna be very fun.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what you guys are thinking hit wise. Do you think, and Matt, I'll start with you. What do you think is possibly going to get hit? Give me a few cards. What are you thinking?
All right. So I'm gonna be very unoriginal, and um, I think VFD. I think True King of All Calamities just has to go.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
Like it's very well having one of them right is not very oppressive on board. Like
Yeah.
if the world can summon one consistently, if you have the out, you have the out.
Right.
The problem is that virtual world can make two,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and you can't out two of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just if they go first, VFD. How do you play?
Yeah. Yeah. And I do agree that that's a definite problem. What do you think, Diablos? Does it need to go?
Oh yeah, absolutely. VFD definitely needs to go, and I will definitely open the door for it to go because it's very hard to like like just that quickly. I forgot your name. Matt, right?
Matt. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like Matt said, it's really hard. It's hard enough to get over the first VFD, but this deck can pump out two, sometimes three if you go to my locals. And it's just really unhealthy for the game. And
Mm-hmm.
I do have a feeling that Konami will definitely hit this card because they released another card, I believe, in Blazing Vortex called Sacred Tree Beast Hyperton. And
Yeah.
it's a rank 9 and it's a negate. And I was just talking to one of my friends at locals about this, and I said to him, they're going to ban VFD. That's why they gave us this card. This card is going to replace VFD wholeheartedly.
Ooh, interesting. Matt, what do you think about that? Do you know the card that he's talking about? Do you think it's going to replace True King?
So I know exactly the card he's talking about. I pulled two or three of them in my boxes.
What's the card again, guys?
God, I'd have to find it. I don't know if I could, but it's let me think of the name of this thing.
That's okay.
It's called Sacred Tree Beast Hyperton.
Sacred Tree Beast. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, okay. So you think that they'll go ahead and get rid of True King because this will end up replacing it?
I think it's a more player friendly option. Um, it's just it takes the place of VFD, and it's healthier for the game. It's
I
not
agree.
a it's not an oppressive it's not a oppressive lingering conditional effect going on the whole turn.
Okay, that's very interesting. I didn't know that there was a replacement like this out here. So, anything that's just not for the entire turn and it's just hitting one thing at a time, I kind of like that more than I do True King of All Calamities. And it would push players more in that direction. So yeah, I think that's a pretty spot on thought there, Diablos. I could definitely see that happening. Um, Matt, what was something else that you had being possibly hit to where it would
Um,
be forbidden?
so like everyone else, same vein as VFD. I really want Mystic Mind to go, but I just know it won't. Um, I I don't really think there's gonna be a lot of bans
Uh huh.
this the next big list that we get, which I'm hoping is this one. I just don't think we're gonna get a lot of bans.
Okay.
This format is actually fairly stable. Like
Yeah.
the big power card that is the problem in the format is in fact VFD.
Yeah. Yeah.
And outside of that, I really don't think that there's you can make an argument for LP, but like
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Dragon's not doing anything right now, unfortunately. Love the deck.
Right.
But like I said, I really don't think there's a lot to ban this format.
You know, it's
Um,
interesting that you bring that up, and I want to show this to the stream. I actually had nothing banned. And the reason I had nothing banned is I think this is maybe one of the healthiest formats we've had for a while. What I have up here on the screen is DCS's two online tournament that they conducted. And I mean, if you look at the pie chart, 29% doesn't even fit into an actual category. And I thought that was pretty amazing that they had such a large number of rogue type strategies that were out there. And I'm pretty excited about that. Anytime we have this much diversity on a pie chart, when you've got such amazing decks out there like Virtual World and Drytron, I think we're going in the right direction. However, based on what you guys have shared already, I could really see True King being hit now that there's a replacement. Now, Diablos, I'm pretty sure you also had Mystic Mine on your deck. Why do you think that needs to go?
Um, my hits were divided into two sections. One section was for what Konami might actually do,
Uh
and
huh.
another like which sort of cards that the Yu-Gi-Oh community wants you know either on or off the ban list and such and such. Me personally, I didn't put Mystic Mind on my ban list
Oh, I'm
at
sorry.
all.
Okay, okay. Now, do you
I
think
didn't
it
put
should
it
go
on
to
at all
one?
because there's limited. I can see it being limited.
Okay.
It'll actually be a lot healthier if it was limited, but there's too many. There's a lot of ways to out Mystic Mind. Even natively in some of the top decks, there are ways to out Mystic Mind.
Yeah.
Now, is it a healthy card? Yes, I definitely agree. At first, I did it, but now I agree it's a very unhealthy card.
Mm hmm.
Um,
Mm hmm.
but a lot of decks now have native ways to deal with it. I think
Yeah.
that's why Konami hasn't really dealt with Mystic Mine yet, because again, a lot of decks have ways to get rid of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's definite ways to get rid of the card. And when I actually think about the strategies I know that like the card, it's necessary for them to make it work. So I'm actually okay with it. I know I'm going to get lots of hate for this, but I'm actually okay with the card. Just because
So,
for rogue strategies, I do think it puts in some work and there's lots of ways to deal with it. And I don't see it played all the time. I do see it, but I don't see it all the time. So Matt, tell me why you think this has got to go.
okay, so I like what Diabolo said. I think you could put it at 1.
Mm-hmm.
I have a horrible track record. We have 2 guys at locals that love playing mine.
Uh-huh.
Like, and it's pure mine. It's just mine and counter traps. And
Uh-huh.
arguably, that's the build that people don't like. Like, that's the build that's very oppressive. And what out do you draw to activate Mystic Mind, set 5 pass?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all counter traps.
Yeah.
But I have a secondary reason for mine that I want hit.
Sure.
And I think, and it's a reason I don't hear that often,
Okay.
is so many decks now need a field spell, right, to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like thinking in recent terms, the Spriggans that just came out in Volvo, Blazing Vortex, they need that field spell.
Yeah.
And yeah, they have searchers for it. But like when Konami is printing decks that have these huge bloated field spells that the deck needs to function, it would be nice for them to have cards like more terraforming, more metaverse,
Mm-hmm.
cards that help get them access to these.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you think that's why terraforming and metaverse was hit, was because of mine?
So terraforming, definitely not. No way. Terraforming has had a long history of like strong field spells, and terraforming's hit because field spells over the past 3-4 years have been getting bigger, more powerful, more.
Yeah, they're almost the
integral
combo starter
strategies.
for the deck. Yes. Yeah.
So that's why terraforming isn't. But like metaverse, yes, because you set 5 back row, one of them's metaverse, your opponent drops 1 monster on board.
Yep. And
Boom,
they're cooked.
first locked down.
Yeah.
And also, you have cards like Lilith that can just set metaverse for you.
Yes, that's
So-
a great point. Yes, really good point there, Diablos. No, and so that does make sense to me. I could see where we limit it. I could see where it does get banned, because I know there's a lot of hate around the card. But I'm also okay if there's ways to out it, which I think there are plenty. You got your Cosmic Cyclones, your Twin Twisters. Now you've got Harpy Feathers Duster. There's so many different ways to do the removal if you need to. I mean, you even have cards with the Eldritch engine that can pop it. So there's just lots of interaction right now to where me personally, I'm okay to keep it, but I can also see the players' viewpoints to get rid of it. Diablos, let's go ahead and move on to what you were thinking for your ban list. What else were you thinking needs to go?
I only have one more
Okay.
that I think should go, and that's Utopic Zexal.
Oh, okay.
I believe this card is actually, it's not as oppressive as VFD because VFD stops attacks,
Yeah.
whereas Zexal doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think that it is very unhealthy for the game, and like VFD needs to be shown the door because I'm kind of a little tired of seeing Zexal. I know people are not playing it. We have like one guy at my locals who play it, but still, it's a pain to run into.
Yeah. It's hard when someone just says no, right? You know?
Yeah. Especially for someone like me, I play, a lot of rogue and budget decks. So
Yeah.
a card like that just stops me. It just kills me. So
Yeah, and I totally feel that. Matt, you think it needs to go?
Yeah, it's in the same vein as VFD. Like the card isn't played as much as VFD for sure. Like Zexal is not as played as much because its main easy strategy is Numeron, the Numeron strategy to get it out.
Yeah.
But like cards like that, I feel not only do they shut certain decks out of the format, like they stop players from playing in format.
Yes. Yes.
Like I'm very unapologetic about it. I'm really bad about it. I'm a combo player. I build combo, I play combo. That's how my brain works.
Yep. My son's the same way. I love the slow grind, like Diablos here does. And my son is like, "Oh no, I want the combo, Dad. I want the combo." Yeah, so it just cracks me up. Anyways, continue your thought.
Yeah. I see the lines of play, and that's what I really like about Yu-Gi-Oh! That's my favorite style.
Uh-huh.
I can't take control to save my life. No sense of like winning like a deck, like reading other players in their combo, in their strategies. Like I'm like, cool, shotgun the control, and it's like, nope, I have the out right now.
Uh-huh.
You did nothing. But like cards like this, if you know that's what the format is, if you're a combo player, why play?
Oh,
If the
yeah.
only deck
Yeah, it takes away your chance. Yeah.
like you pray you go first or you lose.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. No, I get that. I definitely get that. And then that brings up something that I was really surprised when I saw this because I've been watching lots of videos, like I'm sure you guys have. I saw someone bring up number 16 Shockmaster. Do you think that
No,
has a possibility of coming back at 1?
never.
Come back? No.
Okay. All right. So, Diablos, why are you saying no so fast?
Because we're already dealing with VFD.
Yes.
We
Mhm.
we can't one thing at a time. We can only take so much as Yu-Gi-Oh players. We can I mean some decks like Eldritch, this would be like almost a killer for because they mostly use, one type of card, like traps. Sky Strikers use only spells. Certain combo decks use only monsters. Like this,
Exactly.
no, I'm okay with this staying there. It can stay on the ban list.
Well, and Matt, going to you now, and I agree with you, Diablos. I think this card would be toxic for the game. It's also level 4s. It's super splashable to get to.
Or tools. Why you can never let this card off? you literally can't let this card off until unless it has an errata. It must have an errata.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah, if it had an errata, I could see that possibly. Absolutely.
It's the same reason wrong, and I can't ever pronounce the thing's actual name. It's the same reason Rongo Bongo is not in the format. It's generic. It's a rank 4 toolbox generic card that is insane.
Yeah.
And to get that thing to do its broken effects, you gotta use a lot of material.
Yeah.
Shockmaster 3.
Yeah. And it's just once per turn. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's really broken because then you could just do it again on your turn.
You could make this thing in Dragon Link with a normal summon and the field spell.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no way. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, you can. Normal summon Seyfert, activate boost sector launch, special summon Silver Rocket and Tracer. Boom, there you go.
Oh, see, that'd be so broken. Yeah, I hope this card never ever comes out. We got some people in the chat who've never seen it before, and for good reason, guys. This should always stay banned. I'm right there with the guys on this one. Okay, so let's go ahead now and move on to some things that I think could come off the ban list. I actually have a few things I want to discuss. The first one that I've been wanting to see for a while is Astrograph Sorcerer. Matt, do you think this can come off? If not, why?
I guess I should ask your clarification. Are you looking for any movement? Like, are you specifically thinking to 1?
I'm thinking to 1. I know Konami, they typically like to allow something to come out to 1, see what it does, and then maybe move it to 3.
Yeah.
What do you think here?
I think 1 is okay. The thing with pendulum support, and especially these generic pendulum support, is like you can't give it too much because then it's insane again. So to strike a right balance. And I think Astrograph is probably fine at 1. A great thing I recommend to people is MBT Yugioh did a stupid, dumb ban list tournament where he just like stripped the ban list, let a bunch of stuff off, and then had people play these decks that they said were broken and insane. And like the pendulum deck didn't do anything.
I've been saying this for years, that the pendulum stuff is not as broken as people may think it is. Yeah, so I'm glad that you brought up that example, because I know how frightening the cards may seem, but I don't know. I just don't see them top constantly like I have other decks. Now, Diablos, I could hear the hesitation in your voice. So what were you thinking when I said this card?
I'm thinking Astrograph and Heavy Metalfoes Electromite in the same deck. Especially with other pendulum decks like Yangzing that like to destroy themselves or plus off destroying themselves. I do feel like that can make a pretty disgusting deck.
I see what you're saying. That's a good point, because you'd have 2 special summons easily. Because literally you could just pop the Sorcerer. That gets you out. I forget which one. The Stargazer Magician, I believe. And then you do the same thing with Chronograph Sorcerer, and you get out Time Gazer. Then boom, you've got your Link 2 getting into Heavy Metalfoes. So I could definitely see what you're saying there. That's a really good point. You brought up Heavy Metalfoes. Guys, I think it's got to come off, especially with this new Pendulum deck that's coming out. To me, it just makes sense that if you're going to sell the product, it would make sense to give it the best support you can, which would mean bringing this Link 2 back. Diablos, do you think... Oh, sorry. Matt, what do you think? Do you think it should come off?
Sorry. Clarify it for me, because you can see it. I don't have it pulled up. Astrograph Sorcerer's monster effect, where it's if a card is destroyed, you summon it from hand, and then where do you summon the other thing from? Is it from your hand also?
So it says here, if cards or cards you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can choose one monster in the graveyard, extra deck, or that is banished and was destroyed this turn, and add one monster with the same name from your deck to your hand. You can banish this card you control plus 4 other monsters from your hand, field, or graveyard. Each has to be one of the main types, with the exception of Link.
That part never will ever
matter. No. Yeah, you almost never see Zark come out. But but it's a very easy special summon to get out Astrograph Sorcerer, to then get out the Stargazer, and then Chronograph Sorcerer is the same thing to get out Time Gazer. It's super easy. But yeah, so moving now to Electromite though. So Diablos, should this come off because we've got new support for pendulums coming?
Yeah, of course. How else are they going to sell the Metalfoes stuff that just came out, along with the new pendulum archetype that's coming out?
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of the pendulum stuff can come off the list at 1, just to see what they will do, and if they don't do anything, then slowly bring them back to the game. Because I do feel like some of the pendulum cards that are on there, aside from Astrograph Sorcerer, of course, really do nothing. They don't really impact the metagame a little. They do very little to impact the metagame, in my opinion.
I get that. Matt, would you agree?
I don't think you get Astrograph and Electromite at 1 at the same time.
Yes. Okay.
So in the example with Astrograph, you were talking Astrograph effect, you were talking pop something, Astrograph, another thing, link into Electromite.
Yeah.
I'm talking about if you have Electromite on board, popping your own scale, triggering Astrograph.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
So I think Electromite comes off at 1 for sure. I 100% agree with you both. It's a great card. Pendulum needs it, and so many other things on this list that I'm sure you guys have on yours. one card puts more decks into the format. One card powers up decks to be rogue.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Speaking of another card that would be pretty effective, especially for Pendulum, what about Kieran here, the Magispector Unicorn? I would really like to see it come back to one, especially if we have Apex Avion in the format. I mean, I don't know why this card is still on the list. Matt, why do you think it's still there, or should it just come off? At least go into one.
There is, and I know, and I can't remember for the life of me, there is some reason specifically Kieran is still on the list.
Ooh, okay, guys, if you know in chat, please let us know. I'd be curious what that might be. Keep going with your
Yeah,
thought, though,
Actually,
Matt.
I'm not sure.
the only thing I remember about it is it has something to do with its self bouncing ability.
Yes, yes. It's
Because
literally like
it bounces.
Apex Avion. You can target itself, pop this back to your hand, and pop a monster back to your opponent's hand.
Okay, so according to Grunslayer, and I think this is right, he was long enough ago that an untargetable bounce, like there wasn't a way to like effectively stop that bouncing effect.
Yeah.
And with pendulum summoning, it was very easy to get out.
So, yeah.
I think that's the reason. I mean, nowadays we have like, I guess, gamma or droplets.
Uh huh.
So I think he could probably come off at one. But then again, I may be missing some combo that like.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Someone's saying here, oh yeah, he can't be in. You can't even use infinite impermanence. That's why, because the card itself, all the Magispectors have this. They have built-in protection. So their bottom card effect is cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So that is really good. But I still think in this format, and especially with how power creep has definitely happened, it just makes sense that that's something that could actually happen. At least I think so.
Progress. I have a fun vignette about Magispectors.
Okay.
I was playing on ladder on Dueling Book, and I came across a Magispector player. And I was playing a very terrible Karibo Lair of Darkness build. Yeah, Lair of Darkness makes every Magispector card unplayable.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Because they're
all
not
their
wind anymore; they're dark. Yeah.
They need wind specifically.
Yes.
It's very fun. That's my little vignette about Magispectors. I love it.
Nice, like it. So let's go to the Joker now. Diablos, you think Skullbat Joker is able to come off?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I don't see why it's still on there anyway.
I agree. Yes. They put it on at 3 one time, and people started playing all these pendulum decks. And then literally like a month later, they took it off. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was so frustrating. So yes, I agree. I would love to see this card come back. And it's really good for I think just starting any pendulum deck. Especially if they're wanting to sell the new product that's coming out. I could easily see this coming off. Diablos, is that what you were thinking in terms of why it needs to come off?
Well, not exactly. I was mostly thinking because what is it gonna do? What are I know Pepe used to be like a thing in the past, but nowadays, what are they gonna do? It's a deck that loses to anti-spell.
Yeah.
I don't see. I think Performer Pals themselves have some potential, and I do think Skull Combat Joker would bring that out just a little bit, but I still don't think they would be like meta impacting. Like they wouldn't really warp the format. They wouldn't do anything.
Yeah. No, I could see that. Matt, do you agree?
So I can tell you exactly why Skull Combat's on the list.
Okay, go ahead.
I know why. Skull Combat was hit because of Tier 0 Pendulum Magicians.
Uh-huh.
When Pendulum Evolution came out,
Yeah.
and all of the Black Fang, Purple Poison, when all of those came out, that deck was tier 0.
Oh, it was great. It was a great deck.
And Skullcrobat Joker is a normal summon. It's their Rhoda essentially, so that's why it was hit. Like it was a very powerful card, and it was a high scale for them, which they needed.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Because
for
they're
consistency.
the only one good high scale to put in the thing, I think.
No, that makes sense to me. You bring up the Magician, so this is one I definitely wanted to see actually come off to 3. Was actually Double Iris Magician. You talk about it being tier 0 back then, which I agree it was really strong. I'm not sure I'd say tier 0, but it was really good. Do you think it's going to come off, or do you think they'll leave it at 1 then, based on how you felt about Pendulum Magicians back then?
I think a Double Iris can maybe go to 2. Like you said, Konami really likes their stair stepping cards, and I think it can come off to 2, and then the next list will probably come off completely, just for sake of like Pendulum's not doing anything.
Okay.
Feed into what I was saying a minute ago with like you have to be careful about how much you give Pendulum back.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. No, I could see that.
We have 3 months of Pendulum format again.
Which honestly, pendulums don't bother me because of the reasons that Diablos just laid out, though. I mean, anti-spell fragrance wrecks that deck. And I feel there's other cards too. Like, let's say you set an infinite impermanence, and it's in the scale area. I mean, that also ends up causing a whole problem for it. So I'm not sure we'd have that power creep as bad as it might have been back then. Diablos, would you agree with that? What's your thoughts
on this card coming back? I think at 2 to start would be fine, because there are many ways in in the pendulum mechanic. There are many cards that pop themselves or pop cards you control. And when this card is popped, it gives you a pendulum grab card, and those cards are actually kind of scary.
Yeah, they're pretty good once they get going.
In my opinion, they're kind of scary. So I don't think it'll do anything if they brought it back. Like, it can come back to 2. I believe that's what the semi-limit list is for, so that way they can test the waters and see what the card they bring back can do. But I don't think it would do anything. I really don't. It can come back to 2.
Okay,
can
awesome.
this thing make Dragoon an OTK?
Can it make Dragoon? That's a great question. It is treated as a dark spellcaster. Hold on, let me look at that.
Dragoon needs Dark Magician.
Yes, Dark Magician. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the Pendulum Scale, Double Iris says Dragoon, a dark spellcaster, can deal double battle damage, and then you pop Double Iris from the scale.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Okay, we need to look at that. Yeah. Can you target Dragoon with your own stuff? Neither player can target this card with card effects. It's safe. Okay, because this targets. Yeah. Woo! For a minute, I thought we had something huge there, possibly, that needed to be avoided. That was scary. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to something you're thinking, Matt. What are a few cards you're thinking that need to be limited to 1?
Let's see. Where do I start? I had Electromite for sure. Scarlet Sanguine. I think that can go to 1, and they'd be okay.
Yep, and I know exactly the card that they put in Blazing Vortex to replace it, almost as like a precursor to hitting some of the Eldritch stuff. Because there's a card, a continuous trap called Angel Statue Azurune, and it's basically another trap monster. But you can send another trap monster you control to the graveyard to negate a summon. Now, I don't think Konami would give a deck that's already pretty powerful more power unless they're going to take something away. So,
Yeah.
so to me, that tells me either Scarlet Sanguine is going to go to 1, or Eldritch himself might go to 2, or maybe even Cursed Eldland might go to 1.
Yeah, I was wondering about that with Curse Eldland. Were you thinking about that too, Matt?
I don't like the Cursed Element hit, actually.
Okay, go ahead and talk about why.
It's an unsearchable card in their deck.
Ah, okay, okay.
Like, nothing that they have inherently searches Cursed Eldland. Like, they either open it or they have to waste draw power trying to get it. So, like, I don't think hitting it does anything. Like, that doesn't hurt the consistency of Eldritch and the grind. Because yeah, adding an Eldritch or a spell or a Golden Land spell trap from deck is really strong. But like, if you use it, add your 1 copy of Sanguine, what do you do from there?
Yeah, good point. Very good point.
That's why I was thinking. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. You go right ahead.
That's why I was thinking. I wasn't really leaning towards Cursed Eldland. That's why I said Scarlet Sanguine and Eldritch as my first 2, because those are the 2 that they would probably hit instead of Cursed Eldland, because like Matt had said, Cursed Eldland isn't searchable.
Yeah.
Scarlet Sanguine is searchable, and Scarlet Sanguine can recur Eldritch from the deck or graveyard.
Great points, guys.
It doesn't matter if they hit either one. It doesn't matter, because there's still some consistency between the 2. That's why I think they might most likely it might be Scarlet Sanguine. That's my take. It definitely might be Scarlet Sanguine or Eldritch himself.
Makes sense. Matt, a few more cards on your list there that go to 1.
Let's see. So bringing back Eternal format, I would like to see Mirage Thalio come back to 1.
Yeah,
because I don't think that. It's not going to do anything for Salad. Like, it'll consistency bump them, but they're not going to be tier 1.
Yeah,
again,
completely agree.
And then I want Harpor back to 1. Only 1.
I think 1 is fine too, just to test the waters, because we got Rusty Bardish and Harpor in the same format. I gotta see how that turns out first. You gotta see how that goes first.
I love the caution, Diablos. I love it. I absolutely agree with you. Because this card wrecked me when it was huge in the format. I had a hard time against this thing. So yeah, so I'm right there with you on the edge of caution. Let's put it at 1 and see what it does. No, I completely agree.
Orcus just bricks.
It can. Yeah.
Like, I play Orcus, and man, a lot of the games I lose is just because I open like double Nightmare and maybe the Scrap Golem and like 2 cards that are just unplayable.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, how do I pass turn and then get OTA.
right.
But see, if you combine that, you got Orchid, Phantom Knights, which already do well in the graveyard. Then if you combine that with cards like Dangers, that would discard stuff, that makes things pretty disgusting, in my opinion.
Yes.
But that's, you can't bring any of the limited dangers off.
I think they might bring one of them back.
Oh, really?
They might bring one of them back.
Which one do you think they're going to bring back?
I forgot which YouTuber said it, but I agree with them. Definitely Tsuchinoko.
Oh, yes, because it's a reptile. Yeah.
Exactly.
Tsuchinoko, I guess. That one's probably the most fair out of them that are.
Yeah, I could easily see that happening. I can't find the card now. But, there it is. So I agree with you completely on this, because the new reptile archetype that's coming out here in Ancient Guardians, it would make a lot of sense that they would actually bring this back. I 100% agree. just to sell product, I could see it happening.
I could see that happening too.
So let's go ahead and go to you now, Diablos. What are some cards you think need to come to one?
Come back to one,
or just be at one, whatever you're thinking there.
I want to say Cyber Angel Benton, but it's most likely they won't hit it. Because they have Drytron have new support coming out in the next set, which is I think Lightning Overdrive. They have an Xyz monster.
Oh God, that thing's scary.
Oh, it is. I agree.
That card does wonders for that deck.
Yeah,
it does a lot.
I still can't believe they created it. Still can't believe it's out there. But yes,
I don't think they're going to hit this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they're going to hit Benton either. And if they did, I think they would put it to 1 if they do decide to hit it. But it's really good for the consistency for Drytron. So I really, and again, the format's in a really healthy spot. And I've seen a lot of people figuring out Drytron more and more. So I would actually be okay if this card stays as is. Matt, your thoughts on that?
So I had Benton at 1 also.
Okay. Go ahead and share why.
And I think it's exactly for the same reason that was already stated. Like, they're getting this Link 1 coming in, what is it, 3 months, 4 months, something like that. And that card is insane.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
It's a foolish. It's a search, a foolish, and something else, some other card that's like the effect of another card like that is limited on the limited list. It's like 3 insane effects on a rank 1 that they can easily make.
Yeah.
Combine that with Ben 10. Like, if Ben 10 doesn't get
consistency's through the roof, then yeah.
5 Drytron cards.
No,
but to be fair, this deck does lose to Droll and Lockbird,
absolutely,
and Thunder Dragon Colossus.
Yes. Oh, now I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so now do you think, Diablos, that this is going to come to 1?
No. No, I don't think it is, because Konami, if I know Konami like I do, they are greedy. They're going to try to push Drytrons as much as possible before they throw the ban hammer at it. They're going to push it as much as possible.
I like that thinking. And in Diablos, I love this about you. You always think from the money side of Konami when you come up with your list of things that you talk about. Because I think in a similar way about the company. I think that they are all about milking that cash cow as much as possible. And then once people are tired of it, then they might bring Colossus off. However, there are a lot of ways to out the card. I mean, you've got Kaijus, you've got Zeus. I mean, there are definite ways that you could take care of this. So Matt, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think it will come off?
I think it could come to 1. Like, I think it could. I'm not saying I'm not saying that it should. It's another one of those things. Like, how do you know until it happens, right?
Yeah. I like the way you put that.
I think it could come off, and I think it'd actually be pretty fair. Like, people are citing Kaijus for Dragoon. They're citing Kaijus for big threats, because like putting 3 Game Steal in your side deck or 2 in your side deck, very easy way to out cards.
Yes.
That can't handle. So people are inanely running outs, and it can be hit by imperm droplets. There's ways to out it, and I think it could come back. And I think you'd make a lot of Thunder Dragon players happy, and maybe bring back more Eternal format decks. Like, I mean, we're already talking about bringing Salamangreat and Orcus back a little.
You mentioned that term. For those who are watching who don't know what that means, explain what Eternal format is.
So eternal format, and this is a loose term,
Mm-hmm.
Is, from what I've been hearing it used, is being used to describe the format before last year's nuke ban list.
Mm-hmm.
January ban list of last year, where they hit, like, every deck got crushed on the list.
Yeah.
Every Yu-Gi tour was like, the format is broken. No deck is playable. Salad lost cards. Pendulum, that
Oh
was
yeah,
when
everything
Electric
got hurt. Yeah.
Salad, Pendulum, Orcus, Striker,
Mm-hmm.
like. So Eternal format is basically the format of right before that list.
Yeah, and it was a really fun format. I thought that was very fun to play. You had that Salomon Great deck that was super budget, which lots of players absolutely enjoyed. But then you also had your other variety with the decks that you just mentioned. It was a very fun format that
It
I
was player
enjoyed. I thought it was really good.
right, and it was player friendly, which is
Yes.
something Yu-Gi-Oh that Konami does not seem to understand. Like, yeah, cards staying off will help sell product, but like at some point we're hitting that nexus of like, when is the game not friendly for players?
That's a great question. Diablos, let's tackle that. I know it's not necessarily ban list related, but you and I are both very big on budget decks. Let's talk about that question. Do you think that the game is very difficult for players to enter at this point?
Um, yes and no, and here's why. Um, I say yes because there's a lot of rules that are not in the rule book when they buy a new deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of things about timing, uh, damage calc,
Yeah.
damage step. There's a lot of unwritten rules. Uh, but I also say no because um, if like let's say a kid who was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, for a little bit, goes to locals and doesn't know these rules and just gets bodied essentially at
Mm-hmm.
these tournaments. But if they had someone with them to show them, how things interact, how things, just show them the ropes, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure they would definitely get, they would definitely enjoy the game more. I saw it happen. When was it? I think it was Thursday when I
Mm-hmm.
went, and I went to go play with some kids in the neighborhood, and I was showing them the different decks that I was using, and they had a blast.
Yeah.
They had a blast. At first, they were because I played Dragon first,
Mm-hmm.
and they were kind of bummed out because they kept losing and they didn't know how to beat the deck. So I switched to appliancers and I was showing them the different interactions between my cards and their cards and how this can work and how that can work, and
Yep.
they really enjoyed it.
Yes.
So I think when you have someone there to show them how things work, how certain interactions go, then they enjoy the game.
Oh, I completely agree with this so much. So as you guys know, if you follow the channel, I have a local where it's mostly young kids and teenagers, and I do exactly what Diablos just described. I show the kids how to play, how to have the proper interaction between the cards, and we have an absolute blast doing it. My son, who is 5, has already a very good understanding how to run a dinosaur deck and a pendulum deck. And my other son, he had that same understanding at the same age, and actually was able to go to nationals and actually competed and did very well and understood how to lock his opponent out and everything. I mean, so it is there, like you're saying, if you have the right interaction. And Matt, going to you now, are we not having enough of that? You know, coming from my FGC background, for those of you who don't know the fighting game community, I would go to a tournament, get bodied like Diablos just said, and then I would actually have someone to walk me through how to get better. Are we having enough of that in the Yu-Gi-Oh community?
I would say, and I you guys took this in a different way than I was thinking.
Yeah, you're
when I
fine
made
though.
it.
That's how it goes sometimes with our discussions.
No, it's fine. I just, from a new player's perspective, I'd say a majority, yes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I brought my wife to our locals.
Uh-huh.
This was a while ago, and one of the guys there, she played against him first. She hadn't played at a tournament before.
Oh boy. Uh-huh.
She had Rika, the third deck that came out in Secret Slayers. I don't know if anybody realizes there's a third deck.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And like she didn't really know what she was doing, and he, Tim, I don't know if you know Zach, the tall guy from Indianapolis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She played Zach. Her round one, first time ever, and he basically sat there. They played the whole 50 minutes, and like he was helping her, walking her through things. And like, yeah, I would say new players get a lot of that.
That's good.
Like, there's some bad apples in the community who will not be fair with you, and it's everywhere. I guess more when I said this, I was talking about like as a veteran player, as consistent players, when do you go and like I was speaking more of like what happens if everyone gets on the same deck? Like if you play at a meta locals and from starting this weekend, 90% of the players are showing up playing virtual world VFD pass.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking more like if I had to play at locals like that, like I went out, drove a while, played at locals that was mostly virtual world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't have fun.
Yeah. I can understand that. I had when the Monarch structure deck first released, everybody was on that. But I had the reverse though. I actually did enjoy it because it felt like real Yu-Gi-Oh again to me, versus the crazy specialing like nuts. I like tributing and everything. But I have had situations where I'm playing the mirror and it feels like that's all I'm doing, and that is not very fun unless you really enjoy the mirror. So I do get that. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Diablos, what were some other cards that you had being limited to one?
Let's see. I have Red Eyes Dark Dragoon being limited.
Yep, me too.
To one. Because that card is a ridiculous boss monster. I also have Miscellaneous Saurus to one.
Oh yeah.
That card just basically says, "Oh, you can't interrupt me. You can't do anything to me.
Yep.
Try it. Try it. Do something. I dare you." And it's kind of annoying that I have to wait until the battle phase or main phase 2 to do something. Yeah. Especially if they're going first, you can't do anything to them because they don't get a battle phase or a main phase 2.
Yes.
So it's like, what do I do?
Yeah, great point. I actually have Fossil Dig on here as well as a possibility, because I think if they hit Fossil Dig, it hurts the consistency of the deck. But then if you hit Miscellaneous Saurus, you hit the big problem card, which is that protection. So
exactly.
Which one do you guys think is going to get hit more here, the Miscellaneous Saurus or the Fossil Dig, which is not a hard once per turn?
Neither is Misk.
Oh, it's not? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's amazing to me how long Dinosaur has basically been untouched. I know Miss has been hit before, but man, I feel like the other core of the deck just has been so safe. So it'll be interesting to see if they hit it.
So when you pulled up that pie chart earlier,
yes,
and you were talking about the variety of decks. I wanted to make this comment about Miscellaneous Saurus, but I wanted to wait because I have some opinions on Misk.
Okay, you go right ahead.
I want it banned, but I think it should be limited.
Oh, there's some hate here about the card, isn't
Like,
there?
we just have Dino players, and like, no offense to them, they don't know how their deck works, and like it's very frustrating to just sit there and watch Dino do its thing forever. But like the I don't care about missed banish to summon a card effect. Like that's powerful. That is once per turn. I care that you can't called by the grave miscellaneous in the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
If they have two of them, you can't gamma it because they chain another one to the gamma.
Yep.
Like it's so oppressive, and Dino never gets hit.
Yeah.
And
yeah. It's amazing.
Infill theory here, because if you look at tournament reports, you know when you don't see Dino anymore?
Huh.
The 3 weeks before a ban list.
Oh, that's interesting.
The deck always disappears.
Huh. Now for you guys that don't know, wait, I missed that. What was that?
Makes sense.
Say that again, Diablos.
Like it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Dino will disappear from tournament reports before a ban list because people stop playing it. Now whether that's targeted, like, or it's people trying to find a new deck because they're afraid Dino's going to get hit. But like both of those just lead to Dino disappearing, so it's not on a radar, so it doesn't get touched.
Yeah. Well, and guys, Matt would know, I forgot to include this in his bio. He's actually a judge. So he has a very good idea of what would be at these tournaments. So that's interesting. I never knew that. And that's just very interesting to know. That's interesting tech and information. You mentioned Called by the Grave. Guys, I would like to see this come to 3. I think it's only going to maybe come to 2. Thoughts?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
When I saw Called by the Grave, bro, go to 1, I'm like, I was kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of mad. I was like, okay, now we're gonna get hand trapped to death, and we have no way to deal with it.
Right.
It was okay because I thought Crossout Designator was around the corner.
Yes,
but it's not. So since it looks like we're not getting it anytime soon, can we get this card back?
Yes.
Because I'm going to be in hand trapped to death. I play Rogue. I play Ancient Warriors, for goodness sakes. I'm being hand trapped to death. Please give us the Grave, at least to 2.
Why we're in a control format right now? It's because Called by is limited.
Yeah.
Combo doesn't have protection.
Yeah. You guys are dead on with that. I completely agree. And I think it's an extremely fair card.
It is.
That's why I'm shocked that it even got limited to 1 to begin with. But as KC Games pointed out to us, there's times where Konami almost wants to force a format on us. And they have a definite way to do that if they want to. And I think this was one of those steps. Because I really enjoyed the combo format watching it. It's very entertaining. But I also like slow format, but I know that's not everybody, especially when my son's talking to me. He's like, no, give me the combo. So I would like to see this come back just to see what it would end up doing. I hope that it does. Some other cards that I think might go to 1, guys. Union Carrier. I could even see some people calling for it to be banned. But because there's just so much you can do with this. Like I've been seeing a lot of Zombie World decks, and they equip the Doom King to it so that then they can link off, have the Doom King on the standby phase, and they've got their negate out. I've seen it with the Mist Valley cards. You know, I've seen Union Carrier do an awful lot of work. Matt, do you think that they're going to hit this?
So it's interesting, actually, because I was toying putting this on my list, and out of the dual overload power 3 of Hulk, Carrier, and Auroradon, right?
Yeah, and I've got all those there. Yeah.
They're still all 3. I don't think that's the one to hit. I actually think Auroradon's the one to hit.
Oh, that's interesting. Why would you say that one? That is very surprising to me.
So, okay. So Lincross is gone.
Right.
You want to know what deck can't make Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon?
Which one?
Mecha Phantom Beast.
No.
They can't make it without a billion extenders. They can't make this card.
Yeah.
Like, so this card, and with Hulk still alive, you can still make Auroradon.
Yeah.
There are combos I've seen Infernoble Knight go, oh, who needs Lincross?
Yeah.
And they full combo without it. Like,
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So my son, he's got an Adamantipator build that KC Games helped him build that actually brings out the True King of all calamities, and then he gets out the Borreload Savage Dragon. Yeah, this card puts in a lot of work if you can get it out.
I think Union Carrier is inherently fair. Like, it was broken with Buster Lock, but we got rid of Buster Lock.
Right.
So I think Union Carrier is kind of inherently fair. Union Carrier also just inherently supports Union decks. Like if you put it in ABC, you can play it in ABC. You can summon the thing.
Yeah.
The thing works.
Yeah. I wish it would have had a different effect that said you had to equip a certain kind of card just to keep it more into ABC, because I think that was the original intent designing it. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. What are you thinking here, Diablos? Do you think it's gonna get hit? It's gonna go to 1, or do you think they leave it at 3?
I think they're going to leave it at 3. I mean, Union Carrier kind of does nothing. I mean, I know that it can be used to facilitate, an infinite negate with Mist Valley, Apex Avian, and the Thunderbird, which I do play in my For Hire deck. But it's very easy to get over.
Yes, I agree with that too.
Because once they summon the Apex, not the Apex Avian, the Thunderbird, you can just attack into it.
Yeah.
And it is also used in other decks like Drytrons, which they're getting some more support. So I don't think that Konami is really looking at this card because, it's being used in one of the best decks and in a new deck at that. So I don't think they're going to hit this.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
At 1, it does the same thing it would do if it was at 3.
I thought about that. That's a great point, because a lot of decks truly just play 1. So yeah, so if they're going to hit it, they'd almost have to ban it if they decide to hit it. Yeah, so very good points, guys. What do we think about Anaconda? This card brings out Dragoon. Lots of players, if they're not playing the Dragoon engine, they'll play Rainbow Neos. What do you guys think about this one? Diablos, I'll start with you. You think they're going to hit Anaconda?
No, I don't see anything wrong with Anaconda. I mean, I know it can bring out some truly disgusting boss monsters born out of friendship. Like, if you really think about the 2 monsters that they normally bring out with this card, they're built on. They got Yugi and Joey's 2 monsters coming together. Then you got Jaden and Jesse's 2 monsters coming together. This deck, this card brings out friendship boss monsters.
Yeah.
But I think it's powerful enough to warrant a ban because you can easily stop it. There's ways to stop it.
Yeah.
You can just infinite impermanence.
Yep.
Effect Veiler.
Yeah.
There's ways to deal with it.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Oh, go ahead, Matt. What were you gonna say?
I was just saying, like, Anaconda effect. Okay, pay cost, pay 2K, negate. Now you're down 2K. Have fun losing in time.
Oh yeah. You know what? That's a great point. I've seen that actually happen, where a person ended up going into time. They had paid the 2,000, thinking they were going to get out something big and do some burn with Dragoon, and it got negated, and he lost. Yeah, so I could definitely see that happening. Fantastic point.
it also just helps fusion decks. Like,
Yeah.
it's my same issue with it's my issue with Auroradon, but opposite.
Yeah.
Anaconda helps every fusion deck that can afford to play it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Absolutely. Yeah, that can afford it. I'm very fortunate. I was able to get a copy with some help. And shout out to Casey's again. He helped me get that. So that was helpful. But yes, I agree with you guys. It's a great card. I just don't know if it's going to become something that becomes toxic eventually if you get a powerful fusion card. So I'll be curious to see what happens with it. Now,
I think a card that can go that actually helps this particular card because it fusion summons is Magical Meltdown. That card can go.
okay.
I think not being able to respond or negate a card that allows a deck to fusion summon, which I think it would protect not Dragoons, Anaconda too, because the effect will fusion summon. Correct?
Would that be right, Matt?
So no, actually.
Okay.
This is a very weird, like, Anaconda has weird rulings. It's the same reason you can't ash it.
Okay.
So in Yu-Gi-Oh, on activation of a card, on declaring of effect, right, or activation. The absolute first thing that must be done is pay card.
Right.
Must be paid as written, and no player can respond to the paying of cost. So in Verte Anaconda's case, you say Verte Anaconda effect, then you pay 2K and you send the spell, right?
Yeah.
Now, after that is the only window to chain a card to it. Once cost has been paid, you can chain a card. At the point of cost being paid, Verte Anaconda isn't actually fusion summoning anything. Its effect is still copy a card.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The effect is not copied until the card is allowed to resolve.
Okay. Okay. And so that's why it wouldn't get the protection. Interesting. I honestly didn't know. Yeah. So that's the benefit of having a judge in if we need one.
So you can't ash it because if you send Red Eyes Fusion, Anaconda is not technically going to send anything to deck from deck to grave until you say, okay, that can resolve. And then you can't chain a card in the middle of a resolution.
Okay. No, makes sense. Makes sense.
I still think Meltdown should go though. It needs to see the door.
Interesting. Say that again, Matt.
Invoke needs to be hit somehow. It's like Striker. It's been around for 3 years.
Yeah, it has been around enough. I do like the engine. I like that it's a 1-card engine. It leads to lots of fun interaction. But yes, I think if they're trying to push something new, I think that they're going to possibly hit this. Especially seeing just how popular the card has become in Dogmatica engines, combining the two. So I could definitely see something happening there. I wanted to talk about this. Could we see Change of Heart come to 1?
What's the current text on
Change of Heart, where you target one monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase?
No.
Oh,
I don't think so.
Both of you instantly really no. The chat responding no instantly. Okay. Okay, so Diablos, why are you saying no right away?
Because if you think about it, mind control is limited for a reason. It's because we have link monsters, so you can steal your opponent's monster and use it for link material. Change of Heart is essentially the same thing.
Yeah, but better because you can attack with it. Yeah, this card's pretty good. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, like in that vein, you're talking, we have limited cards and banned cards that say, take an opponent's monster, it can't activate its effects or be tributed for a tribute summon. And those are limited and banned.
Yes.
So you're talking going a step further and saying, have a free card to do literally whatever you want with.
Right. No, that does make sense. Yeah, that makes complete sense to me.
I mean, how do you feel? How would you feel if you summoned a big board and you're like, okay, change of heart?
Yeah. Oh, that would be frustrating. Absolutely. I've heard a few players talking about Engage possibly coming off this list. I've faced enough Sky Striker. I'd be fine if it does not come off. But Matt, do you think there's a possibility we see this go back to 1?
I think this one's a like PTSD moment for me. I think it can come back to 1, but nothing else on their thingies can come off. Like you can't get a second multi-roll and an engage.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, but like I think it at 1 is fine because you can't engage into engage.
Yeah.
Which was really insane. So I think it could.
Okay, no, makes sense to me. Let's go ahead and move on to some other cards. Were there any other cards you guys wanted to talk about that could be at 1?
For me, I have Divine Arsenal double A Zeus.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, go ahead. Explain your thinking there, Diablos.
Mostly because I don't like the fact that Zoo players can just make this very easily. And then they can, once you get rid of it, 1 is bad enough. Once you get rid of it, once you finally get rid of it, they could just slap down a bunch of Zodiacs, Borbo, whatever it is, attack you, then slap down another one. I don't find that fun at all. It's very oppressive because like now you're losing resources. You're far behind on resources and card advantage because of a 1 card XC summon. No thanks. That's kind of annoying in my opinion. From a rogue player standpoint, it's annoying.
Completely agree. I thought the card was crazy busted when I first saw it. I was shocked when I saw that they made a card like this. So I am perfectly fine if this card ended up going to 1, because there are ways to out it. But yes, I agree. If you can then just slap another one there, that becomes absolutely ridiculous. Matt, what do you think?
I agree with the reasoning. Not saying I disagree.
Oh no, you're fine. It's okay if we disagree, Matt. You go right ahead.
I'm not saying I disagree because I don't.
Okay.
It's a Konami money thing. Like it's unfortunately it's just not gonna get hit. It's too new.
Yep.
It's the highest card in its set right now. Like Zeus is carrying Phantom Rage. I mean, the next highest card is what? Alpha, and Alpha at $25.
Yeah, and that card just keeps dropping.
Yeah, like Zeus will last for another format at least.
Yeah, and
which sucks.
I was talking with KC Games. He also doesn't think this is going to make it into the Megatins. No. So if this isn't in the Megatins, then this is going to go up even more, causing more people to buy product. Yeah, so I agree. I don't think it will get hit, but I think it would be healthy if it were, like Diablos is saying. I could definitely see that. Diablos. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I also have an opinion on Engage coming to 1.
Oh, yeah.
I can see it coming to 1, but only if they don't bring back Harp Horror.
Oh, okay. Go into that a little bit.
Because, a lot of decks were abusing the Sky Striker engine. Because Engage is basically Pot of Greed, and if you have 3 spells in a graveyard, you get to pick one of the cards you draw. That's essentially what it is. And I think Orcus and Trickstars were the ones that were abusing it the most.
Yeah.
Now, Light Stage is limited and Hardcore is gone. We can't if we gotta pick which one we want. We can't have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah,
Like we
good
gotta pick
point.
which one we want. If we want Hardcore, then we gotta accept the fact that Engage has to stay on the ban list.
Mm.
If we want Engage, then Hardcore and Light Stage have to stay where they are because they're banned for a reason.
Oh boy, such good points. And I am wanting so hard to see Light Stage go back to 3 as a Trickstar player. Matt, you sounded like you wanted to jump in there. What was your thoughts there?
I also agree. Striker Orchest was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Harp deserves to come off the list more, and I'm not saying that because I'm not biased. I have logical reasoning here.
Okay.
You can still play Striker. Striker can still win games now.
Absolutely it can. Yep.
They have enough draw cards. They can play the new Pot of Prosperity very easily because their extra deck is 2 to 3 of each of their links plus utility cards.
Yeah.
They have enough draw. They play Desires in the main all the time.
Yeah.
No, Orcus breaks.
No, I get it. I totally understand. I totally get it. So was that it for you, Diablos, for cards you thought could come to 1?
Let me see. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Matt, any other additions for the limited list?
The obligatory maybe Blaster can come off.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'd rather to see if this is a big list coming up and then see how the format is before I say Blaster.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me. I think a lot of players are thinking the same thing. They want to see just how much Konami's going to go here. Because I think you could honestly have a simple list this time, or it's going to be big. I don't think it's going to be in between. I think it's going to be either little or big is my thinking. Let's go ahead and move to the semi-limited list then. I'm going to start with something a little controversial here. What do you guys think about skill drain coming to 2?
I mean, it's already being used in Eldritch and the OCG.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, Eldritch here without skill drain is a pretty good deck.
Yeah.
Why are we going to make a good deck a better deck?
Yeah, good point.
Understand.
But for rogue options, skill drain helps sometimes. So especially to slow things down.
I think the problem when talking about rogue is a lot of cards that just inherently help rogue decks also just are really powerful control cards and stun cards.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at those powerhouses coming back into the meta of if this was just pure combo meta, sure, bring back skill drain.
Yeah.
But solely because this format is so control heavy right now.
Yep.
I think you're throwing gas on a fire.
Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. I like that. I like that analogy. No, I was just curious because the card does put in a lot of work when players are able to hit it. And I do enjoy Rogue. So there's times where I hit this, it keeps me in the match. But I do see what you're saying, especially with what you're saying, Diablos. We don't want to make a top tier deck even better to where it becomes very difficult to get around. So I could definitely see that.
Especially when we're talking about limiting cards to make it.
Yeah.
To rein it in.
Yes, absolutely. Nope, makes sense. Makes sense. Diablos, I'm pretty sure you had mentioned some Salamane Greats to me before we started the stream. What were the Salamane Great cards you were thinking that could maybe come to 2?
I feel like the Salamane Great cards that can come back to 2 is Salamane Great Circle and Salamane Great Gazelle.
Okay. And go ahead and walk us through your thinking why they could come off or to come to 2.
Purely, I could sum it up in one sentence. That deck needs all that it can get.
Yeah.
Like I know they can go into access code talker and all that, But if we give them back Mirage Stallion, they're locked into fire, so they can't go that route. They can't go into the access code route because Mirage Stallion, I think, locks them into fire. So they need a little more of a push and a little more, you know, I want to say a little bit more grind game.
Yeah.
Because if you hit their back rows before the back row can even do anything, then sometimes they're just stuck.
Yeah.
They're just stuck, and they're just forced to hope that the ash in their hand does something, or they just lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agree.
So I do feel like Gazelle and Circle can come to 2, and it would bolster the deck up a bit, but not to competitive relevancy, in my opinion.
Okay. Matt, what do you think?
It's interesting. Like I say that a lot, but like this is a very like deep dive discussion on this. I say Diabolus, you get one or the other at 2.
Then it would definitely have to be Gazelle.
Yeah, I think you get Gazelle at 2. Because just for the sake of it, I mean, if we're giving them back Mirage Stallion and 2 Gazelle, you have to like slowly creep these cards off to see how high Salamander climbs, right?
Okay.
I agree with that.
And I think if we're slowly giving Eternal format decks pieces back to see, because like you only need a couple, like one Harp Horror jumps Orcust up a little. Maybe it's in a higher tier Rogue. Mirage Stallion 2 Gazelle puts Salamangre back up in a good spot in Rogue. Maybe tier 2. You're slowly climbing these decks back, and I think the goal should be to get them rogue-ish, so you're expanding the playable pool that we have.
I like
and it's
that.
already so wide, which is amazing. And I think if we widen it a little bit more with some of these, moves to 2, moves to 3, the format's going to be amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what we want. We want an amazing format with a variety of decks. And like Diablos was saying, I completely agree with you. The deck needs more. I mean, because if you think about where it was before, guys, didn't this win Worlds, this deck, Salamangreat, if I'm not mistaken?
I think so.
I want to say it won something like, super huge. And to see it fall to where it is today, it's really frustrating if you enjoyed this deck. So yeah, I would definitely agree. I think it needs the push. And Matt, like you're saying, I think it's healthy to make sure that we give it back the right cards with the right ratios so it doesn't get too powerful again to where it's just dominating everything. So yeah, I think that's great advice. Matt, what did you have going to 2?
What did I have going to 2? Let's see. Okay, I have a controversial one, but I'll get to that.
Okay.
Dynamite Knight to 2.
Oh, yes.
I agree.
I was happy to hear someone say that. Yes. Okay, yes. I'm a big fan of this deck. Please share why you think it should go to 2.
Masterpiece doesn't do anything. and I'm going to bring it up again. Please, no, I do not know MBT, but please watch the stupid, dumb, idiot Banlist tournament. There's someone playing full power True Draco.
Yeah.
They lose immediately.
Yeah.
The Masterpiece just doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, you have to have the right cards for it to all work. And it can be a little bricky at times. I mean, yeah, I get it. No, it makes sense to me.
You just put a turtle on the thing and they lose.
Yeah. So speaking of Dynamite at 2, what do you think about Diagram coming back to 2, or is that too much help to dinosaurs?
Too much help to Dino.
Yeah, dinos. Unfortunately, as much as I like the True Draco deck and the strategy, Diagram has to stay at 1 solely because of dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I can see it coming back if they hit Misk
Yes.
to 1 or 0. I can see this coming back. But right now, no. Just absolutely no.
Yeah.
Because Diagram plus a pop of Baby Ceratosaurus to get a True King Lithosagem, which is at 1 now.
Mm-hmm.
You get a True King Lithosagem. You get a summon off Baby plus a potential summon off Lithosagem. 3 cards out of the opponent's extra deck. And then if the opponent popped another Baby, then that's another dinosaur. And no, it's just too much.
No,
it's way too much. And my rogue heart can only take so much.
Because they don't have diagrams.
Totally.
That's the only reason Dino is playing Lost Worlds, because they don't have diagram.
Yeah. Yep.
And think about that for a second. Think about how powerful diagram is. That they're playing Lost World. They would rather play diagram over Lost World.
Yeah, yeah.
Which arguably does more for their deck.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally see what you're saying there. What were some other things you had coming to 2?
I want Red Reboot to 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead and explain why.
This one's pretty simple. It's just a control format.
Yeah.
And like they did this on that ban list before control happened. And Red Reboot got limited before Eldritch came out.
And it was because of Altergeist.
And Altergeist. It screws Altergeist, but like they limited it to sell Eldritch.
I could see that.
There's no other reason they hit Pank too. They hit Pankratops.
And I love Pankratops. Love that deck or that card.
Yeah, they're going second cards, or well, Red Reboot not really, but
right?
Like, they're side deck cards at best. No one is maining these cards when they were at 3, unless it's Pank and you're Dino and you're playing Dino.
Yeah.
But like, no deck is maining Red Reboot or Pankratops unless it's specifically anti-meta.
Right, right.
And they hit them to sell Secret Slayers.
No, I could see that. I could see that because they are very money driven, as we've said throughout this discussion. So yeah, I could definitely see what you're saying there. But yeah, I think Red Reboot could actually do very well in this format. It'd be very interesting to see if they did put it at 2, if you'd see players putting it in more. Yeah, I'd be very curious to see that. Diablos, what were some other things that you had coming to 2?
Besides Call by the Grave and Danger Tsuchinoko, on my communities, wish list side, I have A Hero Lives, and Beatrice going to 2.
Okay, go ahead and walk us through why you think each one could come back.
Mostly because I believe, for A Hero Lives, Elemental Heroes, they're doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing pretty okay. Like, there's a guy at my locals, I forgot his name or else I shout him out, but there's a guy at my locals who bodies everyone with heroes.
Yeah, they're good once they get going.
But sometimes he does need like that extra push to get him into his place. And I think one more A Hero Lives would definitely help that deck out just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It'll help them out a little bit more, in my opinion.
No, I could see that. And then what are you thinking about for Beatrice here? Just for Burning Abyss players?
Yeah, because I don't feel like she's doing anything. I mean, I know Virtual World can make her, I think, but she's not really doing anything, in my opinion. Even the Burning, it's not doing much.
Okay. Matt, thoughts?
I like A Hero Lives at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Hero's not doing anything, And it would be really great because Legendary Duelist Season 3 is coming at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that is both the Bakura set, the Bakura Legendary Duelist, and Magical Hero.
Nice.
So all the new hero cards are going to be in one set, and they're all going to be secret rare.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because they were Ultra or Super.
Wow.
So like there'll be secret promos in these boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I like a Hero Lives.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I think it'll go to this list for the next one.
And that makes complete sense.
And yeah, just put Beatrice at 3. She's not doing anything.
Yep.
She's not going to do anything if you put her at 3. No one will run it at 3 unless you're playing BA. And even then, BA can't utilize her second effect on the turn they summon her because they have to go into Dante into her.
Yeah.
So you have a full turn to remove Beatrice.
Okay. Nope. Makes sense to me. Makes sense. A card that I think would be interesting to see moving to 2. Do you think Firewall will just go to 1, or do you think they'll put it at 2 now that it's got the errata and it's a hard once per turn?
You're killing me. I don't think it's coming off this list.
Say that again.
I don't.
Go ahead, Diablos.
Me personally, I don't see why to have it at. I don't see why we can't have it at 3.
I've wondered that too. Yeah.
If it's a hard once per turn, who cares?
Yeah, and they're locked into Cyberverse monsters now. Yeah, so but the reason I put it at 2 is I didn't want to go too crazy, just in case someone found a way to go crazy with it at 3. So I thought 2 might be the better, more cautious way to go. But yeah, I'm just not sure. Matt, go ahead though. Oh, say it again.
It can't come off this list.
What? You don't think it's gonna come off?
No,
because the errata's not out yet.
Oh, gotcha.
The errata won't come out until the product comes out.
Okay.
Now, just had a delay of product, we would have been getting Ghosts of the Past probably around the time the ban list was coming.
Okay, gotcha.
So my guess is the ban list and Ghost would have come out probably pretty close together.
That makes complete sense now. Do you think they'll wait then with the ban list until the product comes out?
I think you have to, because look at our most recent example. Makira the Destructor was legal for 3 days. And you know what? Everyone played for 3 days.
Yeah. Good point. Great point.
And Firewall is probably worse.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. Absolutely. Great point. Absolutely great point. Totally forgot about
we
that.
asked earlier, it was a Salamangreat Mirror at Worlds 2019 for finals. I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
I think I remember seeing that. Yeah. It was actually kind of eventful to watch. It was like such a back and forth.
Oh yeah, grind games are really fun back and forths.
Oh, I love them. Those are my favorite kind to play. And I'm all about that kind of interaction. I absolutely love it. Any other cards you guys are thinking needs to be semi-limited that you want to share?
Yes, I have a terrifying one actually.
Okay, go right ahead.
I want Barrage to 2.
Oh wow!
Barrage to 2.
We got Tri-Brigade running around in these streets.
Interesting.
We got Tri-Brigade running around in these streets. I don't think that'd be pretty healthy.
Either Dryden at 2.
Say it again.
I can see Dryden being at 2.
I'd be happy with Dryden. I want Barrage at 2.
Okay.
But I'll give Dryden a 2, and I'll be happy.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. All right. Woo. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Why do you think it's healthy at 2?
So, Zoo has a really big problem with like one card starters.
Okay.
And if you're playing Tri-Brigade Zoo, it's honestly not a super optimal way to build it, because any one zoo is a zoo exceed monster for sure. Easily, it's just how it works. The problem is if you're playing Zoo and Tri-Brigade, you can brick on just Tri-Brigades and not be able to do anything. Like, or you'll end on Dryden Path.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think right if you open a Tenki.
Right. Tenki.
Yeah.
But like, once again, you're opening one of these cards, like one of a Tenki, 3 cards out of 40. You're trying to open one. And you know, I think Barrage at 2 is okay because it gives Zoo a follow-up play if something happens to their board. Like, if you get Nibiru playing Zoo, you can maybe still make a Dryden. But like I said, if Barrage stays and we get a second Dryden, I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Nope. Makes sense. Just curious on that. And it'll be interesting to see if that does happen, if that ends up happening like you've described it. It'll be very interesting. Any other cards that you're thinking though there, Matt?
No, I just want to say we all agree that Broad Bowl stays banned forever.
I was just thinking, well, what if they got a Broad Bowl to 1?
Oh
we
gosh!
all agree Broad Bowl stays banned forever. That card is too powerful.
Oh, if this comes back, Zodiac becomes extremely good. I mean, oh my gosh! Just the thought of it.
Fractal.
Huh?
It searches any Beast Warrior monster. It searches Tri-Brigade Fractal.
Oh gosh. Okay, yeah, it's got to stay off. All right. Diablos, any other 2s for you? Anything that needs to be semi-limited?
Let me see. I think we talked about everything. There's Sekka's Light.
Oh, yeah. Talk about why you think this is okay to come to 2.
Because what deck is going to use this? Super Heavy Samurais, I guess. It was used in that what was it? Burning Abyss Rock deck, whatever that was. But Block Dragon is gone.
Yes.
So I don't see any other deck that can use this besides, Burning Abyss or Super Heavy Samurais. I don't understand why this is still to 1.
And using an Adamantipator.
Yeah, but what about signs? Then you wouldn't be able to use, you know what I mean, for consistency. That's just my thinking. Because I know the decks I've seen use signs. They use Monster Reborn. DDR, the one that banishes something you banish, you get to special. Or it's a special, but when it leaves, it's banished. I've seen lots of different cards that are spell cards in that build. At least the ones that I've been seeing a lot of.
There is specifically a Sekka's Light build.
Oh, is there really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, there is a build that if we had this is hypothetical build of like Sekka's Light at 3. It's Adamantipator. It's Adamantipator with like some of the Go extenders. It's just Adamantipator with a bunch of extenders that they can rip off the top that just happen to be rock monsters.
Yeah.
Or any extender that they might open in their hand.
Okay. Is it bricky?
It can.
Yeah, because
it can brick.
Because when I think of the Go engine, that's what I started with Adamanticators, and it was bricky at times. Like, it was great when it worked, and when it bricked, it was awful. Yeah, so, that's why I was wondering about that. Pretty interesting. And I would be curious, I don't know, I think it'd be interesting let's just try it and see what happens.
For sure.
So I
was just saying that play it in animated.
Yeah, no, makes sense. What cards, guys, then do we think should go to 3? Now, me personally, I already mentioned mine. I've said it on 3 ban list videos in a row now. I want Trickstar Light Stage to 3, but you both make great points that what are we going to allow? The Engage, the Harp, or the Light Stage? So, me personally, I want the Light Stage, but I understand, Matt, why you want Harp, so it makes sense to me. What are some things you guys are thinking?
You can have both.
Oh, you think so? Yes.
You can have a harp, one harp, and light stage back because Orcust isn't gonna play light stage.
Okay, I'm all for it then. Give me that. And I'm sorry, Engage Striker players, you're out.
Sorry, we gotta have light stage back.
I am perfectly fine with that. But Diablos, what are some cards you're thinking can come off the list completely?
I didn't have much for the unlimited.
Okay.
I know 2 cards that I wanted unlimited was one that we said could go to 2, but I do feel like it can go to 3 and it won't do anything. And that's Dynamite Knight. If that goes to 3, it kind of won't do anything. And True King's Return, if that goes to 3, it won't really do anything.
Yeah.
Say that again?
I said, yeah, those totally could come to 3.
Yeah,
and,
I completely
I think
agree.
the last one, the last 3 for the unlimits, one of them being Red MD, because it got eroded, so there's no reason for it to be at 1. I did have double Iris, but I'm kind of hesitant on that. And DeLorean, because it's getting an errata.
Okay. All right, Matt, how about you?
I do feel like those coming off the list would be okay. Oh, no, it's fine.
No, I agree with you. I think they'd be pretty safe, but keep going with your thought.
That was pretty much it, you know.
Oh, okay. All right. Matt, how about you? What are you thinking for the unlimiteds?
So, I do have to make a point about DeLorean. It's the case of like with Firewall, it can't come back until we need the database erratum, then the off the list.
Okay.
Like, it's just one of those. It's like I was saying earlier about player health, like health of the game. You don't want this card legal for a weekend.
Gotcha.
At like 3, how it is now, because it would be you wouldn't have fun.
Makes sense.
So I had Red MD off the list. Like, like Debo said, there's no reason to keep it on the list. It's eroded. It's heavy eroded. And then I want Called By back to 3, which I stated earlier.
Yep.
And then and I might get killed for this one. I want Destiny Hero Malicious at 3.
Whoa!
I'm sorry, sir. That can never happen.
I agree completely.
No, not in a million years.
No.
That can never happen.
I am right there with Diablos on this.
Look. But you got to think about it in this context, right? Malicious is an activated graveyard effect. And nothing in Heroes inherently protects their own cards.
Right.
Every deck this format is playing graveyard.
Right.
Manipulate. You're playing Crow. They're playing Crow, Skullmeister. What's the ghost card? Is it Ghost Bell?
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's the graveyard one.
Yeah.
All of these cards and Ash, all of these cards stop Malicious. And they're main decked in the format right now. And I think Malicious is the safest way to give Hero a little bit of power. I think if they have Malicious, they give Hero a little bit of power. Hero is a little bit higher in Rogue.
Okay.
But see, now it comes to, now the question is, do we give them both another A Hero Lives and 3 Malicious? because that kind of sounds a little horrible, because now you have to prioritize your ghost spell negate. Do you negate the
Yes.
malicious, or do you negate miracle fusion?
Yes, I'm right there with you.
It just, I can see why you would want it at 3. It does, give heroes, another push, but no, because it also works with Dark Warriors, and they can abuse Isold, like I don't know what. And no, I'm sorry, I can't.
I completely agree here, and it's not a hard once per turn. I think the semi-limited list purely exists best for this card. Because it's fine at 2, but boy, you put it to 3, and man, does this put in work. Yeah.
I have a problem with the hero lives in this case.
Oh, say it again.
I said I have a problem with a hero lives in this scenario that we're talking about.
Right.
A hero lives, you stop it with what? Ash Blossom? Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a strong card. You definitely want to hit it. If they have 2, it's not once per turn.
Right. Yes. Which is
then they
true.
pay another half. So now they're at 2,000 with time limits.
Still.
Yeah, and I understand your thinking. If we're gonna allow one, why not allow the other? So here's my thinking. I've seen this card much more in decks than I have a Hero Lives, and I've seen it abused in just many different engines in general. It's so easy to use versus a Hero Lives to me in terms of getting it out. So that's why I could see this being more staying at 2 than a Hero Lives. Diablos, why would you have a Hero Lives more versus Malicious?
Purely because of Dark Warrior. They can send Malicious on Armageddon Night, Malicious Banish Special, then use that one for a link into Isold. Now you have another Malicious in the grave to turbo out for the third one.
Yes.
And no.
All right, Matt, but go ahead. What else are you thinking, Matt? Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's so much stopping malicious activations. Like, putting malicious back into this format, and in context of our discussion, if we're talking about bumping Orcus back, we're talking bumping Salad back, right?
Yeah.
These are graveyard strategies. These cards have powerful graveyard effects. You're still going to play Skullmeister. You're still going to play Ghost Spell.
Yeah.
You're talking about putting a graveyard activation, and let's be honest, if you hit the first Malicious with a graveyard activation, they're going to be pretty hard pressed to put a second Malicious in there.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have to change the combo to get a second Mali in grave, and even then, you've killed an extender, made them use more resources to put an extender in the grave, and they can only summon one more.
Nope. Makes sense. I appreciate that. Oh, go ahead.
Ghost Spell doesn't even stop this, because Malicious banishes for cost. He banishes for cost. So you would have to Ash. Now you have to prioritize your Ash either on a Hero Lives or Malicious.
I mean, you could Gamma it.
Yeah. Now you have to open up 2 hand traps and hope that you don't open a brick.
I mean, I think that's every deck in the format. You have to open your traps till the second.
No, totally get what you guys are saying, and I appreciate both perspectives there. Fantastic. Matt, were there any other cards that you had coming off?
No, like we've said, I think the format's just too good. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I think you're tempting fate too much by banning too much, unlimiting too much. Like, I think if you have very targeted hits to decks that are rogue, you could expand the format without breaking it.
Yeah. No, makes sense. And Diablos, that was all yours for the unlimited as well, right?
Yes, sir. But I do want to talk about other things that I've seen other YouTubers talk about
Oh,
that can
okay.
get banned or come off,
Okay.
either or that I don't agree with.
Okay, that's
Um,
fine.
One that I've been seeing a lot is LP being banned
Yes.
and quick launch being limited.
Yes, me too. I
Um,
saw that.
I don't agree with LP being banned,
Okay.
and a little bit biased because I do play Dragon Link, and
Mm-hmm.
LP is one of my top 10 favorite dragons in the game.
Okay.
But Dragon Link really aren't doing anything. I mean, yeah, they have a recent resurgence, in competitive play, but if you look at the invitational, which Konami's going to look at,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't consider simulators and stuff like that. Konami saying to the events, they don't really look at those. But if you look at the remote invitational thing, there wasn't really a lot of Dragon Link players. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone played Dragon Link.
Good point. Good point. Matt, you agree? LP, you think it should be safe?
We're talking about my deck here. If there's any deck that is, I would unequivocally say mine. It's this one. For context, I've been playing Dragon Link. I came back into Yu-Gi-Oh from a long hiatus by buying 3 Rocket Revolt structure decks.
Yeah.
And my Dragon Link build is me. It was for the longest time me buying like random packs at Walmart,
Uh-huh.
and like it was for a while a very sealed only Dragon Link deck.
Uh-huh.
But it's my baby, and I would kill whoever said to touch LP.
I mean, I'm the same way. I think Dragon Link, and Appliancers are the only combo decks that I play. The rest of the other decks are control or like aggro decks. And my Dragon Link deck is kind of like yours, where I really had to grind, buy random packs, trade, and in a way build the deck up to what it is now. So I agree with you. They need to leave LP alone. Matter of fact, I will help you jump them if they talk about banning LP. I'll be right there.
So LP is only as good as the strongest thing it can summon, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is and to use a Magic the Gathering term, it's a tutor.
Yep.
It's as powerful as the strongest thing it could summon. And when it was talking about being banned, what was it summoning? An unerrated red MD.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was summoning black metal to get the unerrated red MD.
Right.
What's it summoning now, Brotar? Or, I mean, I still use it to summon black metal to get red MD, but like, it's a one-use thing.
Yes.
There's
It's
no
not
other
as
card that
abusable
LP
as it was before. Yes.
Yeah, there's just nothing else that LP summons that's like insane. And I don't know who said quick launch should go to 1.
Oh no, there's a few people.
Quick launch should go to 1.
Yes, because
No.
it's a starter. Yeah. There's lots of people calling for this that it surprised me because I didn't have this anywhere even on my radar because I am against anything that takes away from strategies like who are playing just pure rockets. That's not fair. Because if you're trying to play a pure rocket deck, this completely blows your strategy up then for consistency. So I'm completely against that.
I mean, so like, that's insane. Talking about pure rockets, you've touched on something that really upsets me. Is how the rocket boss monsters have been co-opted into generic links when they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
The Borals should not have been generic link monsters.
Yeah.
Like I know this isn't Banlist discussion that we're talking about, but like this is just you hit on a weird thing that really irritates me.
No, that's fine. We're all about just having an honest Yu-Gi-Oh discussion here. That's what this is all about. Whatever we're thinking.
Generic. Honestly, I think it's a good thing that they are.
Oh, okay. Now this is interesting. So This will be a very interesting discussion. So, Matt, finish your thought on why you don't think it should be that way, and then Diablo. So I'll have you go after that. Okay, go ahead, Matt.
Okay, so we're talking an alternate universe here of the Borals are not generic link monsters. LP would not have been made the way it was if Boral Sword Dragon was locked to rockets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, LP wouldn't be, Dragon Link wouldn't be as looked at if your Borals were. I mean, maybe so, because, you know, Dragon Link would be the one thing that could summon Borals. But I mean, you wouldn't have had the almost a year of people saying, "Oh, Boral Sword needs to go. It's an OTK machine. Like, if you need a rocket to summon the thing, how many decks are going to be able to do that?"
Right.
And it just really irritates me that they're specifically Rocket's boss monsters. Rockets don't have a boss monster. Like Rockets don't have a singular boss monster.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
Yeah, yeah, and that is frustrating because it was such a main card or main archetype in the anime. That is very surprising. I agree.
Like, and you have them pulled up here. The Exceed literally does nothing. It doesn't help the strategy at all. The Fusion is meh. Doesn't help you win though because it's destruction. Targeted destruction, which doesn't do anything in the game. And like, okay, you have Savage.
Yeah, Savage is pretty good. Yeah.
Savage is pretty good. It's still a generic link monster.
Yeah.
It's a generic single. Like, if you took all of these away, right? Rockets can't make a boss monster.
No. Yeah, not one that's gonna do well. Yeah.
And I mean, I get why it was good that they're generic. I guess, like, I get that, you know, they provided a big Link 4 toolbox that players could use and win games with, but like, as someone who really loved Rockets and like, I got back into anime with Rain, it's like, oh, Rockets are cool. I didn't know Rockets were an anime archetype.
Oh, yeah.
I played and then someone was like, oh, that's the anime deck, right? I'm like, what? And I looked it up and I'm like, oh, these are cool.
And they are cool. I love the design of the cards. I think they're beautiful looking. But Diablos, go ahead and share now why you do like that they're generic.
Okay. I'm going to start this off with a question. What if they did that to Stardust Dragon or number 39 Utopia or even a lot of the Elemental Heroes?
Yeah.
What if they,
question.
you know, made them only for the decks that we're seeing in the anime? That means people who grew up watching it can't incorporate them, especially children, because that's how I got into a lot of the decks that I play now. It's because, you know, as a kid, you know, kids, they have, you know, imaginations. They have, you know, some wild imaginations.
Yeah.
And they like to, you know, almost imitate their, you know, the main protagonist by having, you know, the monster that they used in the show.
Yeah.
On top of that, they can use that monster with decks that they feel is personal to them because they made it.
You know,
I look at them all the same way. Stardust Dragon is generic, so that way anyone who's watched the anime or who loves the dragon itself can play it in any deck that feels personal to them, and they can still, you know, play the dragon. Imagine if Stardust Dragon was locked into Junk and Stardust monsters. No one would play it because it's not generic.
You know, you bring up a great point with that, and I want to piggyback on that because my sons, like you're saying, they're young. My youngest is 5, and then after him is 8, and they love these cards. So like number 39 Utopia, they have it in their decks. Stardust, they have it in their decks. And they purposely have asked me for these cards because they were popular in the anime. So for them, they can play whatever they want and still incorporate these cards. Yeah, so from that standpoint, I can definitely see that. That does make sense to me. But I also still see what Matt's saying, because there's times where if it was locked in more this way, those cards wouldn't be hit possibly even more when you do have ban lists that happen, or even meta defining card situations. So
So
yeah, that is interesting. But keep going, Diablos, with what you're thinking. What else are you thinking with that?
I'm also thinking that if they were to like again with the like the burrow monsters, if they were to lock them just into rockets, they would not see the level of competitive play that they did. You
Mm-hmm.
know, a lot of those cards would not have sold because they're not competitively viable. You know, people even with the kids that are about the competitive scene, they can't play their favorite stuff because it's locked into rockets, and they want to play something else that's not rockets, but has the capability of summoning their big monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what I'm saying? This again, I don't mean to like sound like a broken record, but again, I'm gonna use Stardust Dragon as an example. Imagine Stardust being locked into the junk stuff,
Yeah.
which at the time only had certain junk monsters that were good. Well, not junk monsters, like certain synchron monsters that were good. They only had a few. So imagine having such a good card at the time, like Stardust, being locked solely into uh, the deck that Yusei played in the
Yeah.
anime.
I'm thinking of
That
Red Dragon Archfiend. My kids have loved this card. It was used in the anime. They've had a ton of fun with it and the different versions of it. Yeah, so I definitely see what you're saying there. That does make quite a bit of sense to me. But keep going with your thought.
and also it's an easy marketing tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Mm-hmm.
easy. It's really easy to sell the cards that way. If you make a generic to where anyone can play them, like if you notice, uh, any like anime protagonist cards, most of the time, if it's like a significant card that they use, it's generic. Even with the newer cards, with the Burrow monsters, look at Firewall Dragon. Firewall Dragon is generic. Decode Talker is generic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think the only protagonist whose stuff was not generic was Jaden. And look at where
Yes.
heroes are. Heroes
Yeah.
are expensive because everyone likes heroes, and heroes are not generic. That's
Yeah.
why they are so expensive.
No, makes sense.
So to
like
me, I feel like the fact that they're not generic. I mean, sorry, the fact that they are generic is a good thing.
Okay, Matt, go ahead.
they're okay. So I understand what you're saying, and I agree with most of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily like that they're all generic, but I get why.
Mm-hmm.
There's one very glaring difference that I don't know if you're taking into account here is you can't summon a Boral in one turn playing rockets. If you're just playing like pure without the striker dragon that came out, without like extenders, like rockets can't play a Boral on one turn. They don't have enough extension with their archetypal support. Whereas like Synchrons can easily summon Stardust. Utopia's deck, like is a rank 4, very easy to summon. Like all the Borals are link 4s, and I think they're all 3+ effect monsters. If I'm wrong,
And I can definitely answer as to why they can't. It's because in the anime, the character who used them, Revolver, played Rockets as a control deck,
and that's how
not
they're
a
designed.
combo deck.
But like that's what I'm saying is that's how they're designed is to be a control deck. It's rocket control, which I've played. It's fun. It
Yeah.
doesn't win, but it's fun. But like one of them could have been archetype specific. Something to give Rocket some kind of bomb that they could use.
I do feel that though. I feel like
Yes.
the the one that's in the OCG, the Link 5, that should have been locked in the Rockets.
Yes,
But the
absolutely.
rest of them, I feel like they should be generic.
Yeah, and that does make sense. At least give them one card that's locked into the archetype, or to the rocket strategy. That makes complete sense to me. Absolutely. Um.
But like the worlds just aren't designed with the way rockets were,
Mm-hmm.
which is what infuriated me. And then like, why is my deck's boss monster? If I'm a kid, right, and I want to play the deck that I see Revolver playing, and I want to play the cool dragon deck, which arguably those decks get a lot more play.
Oh yeah,
Like the cool
dragons for sure. Yes.
like I think it'd be really disheartening to see like someone else playing a completely random, like different deck, making my boss monster 1,000 times easier than I can.
And that makes sense. I remember when we were first going to locals and getting bodied, we were playing the show that or the cards or decks that were basically from the anime, and that did not work well for us. Especially when they were turboing out all these great cards that we were trying to get to, and they were just doing it faster. But I do see both perspectives, and I think both are extremely valid.
Yeah.
Diablos, was there other cards you wanted to talk about that were on other ban lists?
Oh, there's one stupid one that I totally disagree with. Max C coming to 3.
Oh, yeah, no way. Yeah, okay, go ahead and explain why though.
That one should stay on the ban list, and it's because Max C, like they have said, has the capability to end turns.
Yeah.
I agree with that, and I just don't think that it would be healthy for, like, let's say a control deck who, most control decks, in order for them to play, they have to, be able to draw into their resources.
Yeah.
People are saying Max C should come back because there are combo decks out there and you can get draws on special summonings. Okay, that's cool and all, but do you realize that your opponent can also play Max C? And
Yeah.
then they're like, oh well, you could just ash it. Okay, who's to say you're guaranteed to get an ash before they get a Max C?
Yeah. And when things were getting extremely fast, and I mean like linking all the way to your opponent's extra monster zone, I actually thought Max C might be the answer, because I was like, man, this format seems out of control to me. I was like, you got to have something to combat this. But the more I think about the card, the more I think it needs to stay right where it is for the scenario you're describing. I mean, it could get completely out of control both ways. Matt, your thoughts?
So, Max C definitely needs to stay at 0. But if it ever came off the list, if it ever did, right, it's at 3 or it's at 0.
Yes. Yeah.
I've heard that argument a lot too.
Yeah, explain your thinking, Matt, because I agree with you.
And this is the argument you'll hear from anyone that does anyone that talks about Max C. Tim, you want to know what one of the worst feelings in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh is?
What would that be?
It's when you get hit with the sackiest one of on a limit list that just completely shuts you down.
Yeah.
Like getting hit by a limited card that just completely screws your day. It feels awful. Now, what if that card is Max C and you're a combo deck?
Oh yeah. I mean, you're giving your opponent so much advantage.
Like at 1 or 2, it's pure luck, and whoever sees it wins the game. Whereas if it's at 3, your deck building around the fact that Max C is at 3. So you would maybe not play a super long combo. You'd play control, whatever.
Yep. You'd try to stall.
I still think Max.
Yeah.
Like, and for your example of extra linking.
Yeah.
When you're linking. If you're doing that and your opponent plays Maxine, they draw an infinity billion cards. The problem with an extra link deck is usually they're done at an extra link. They usually have no resources left.
Yes.
They're relying on this big strong board of cards to get them through.
Yes.
Like most combo decks, they've vomited their hand onto a board.
Yeah.
You're going to be top decking. Well, like what if they do all this, you max see them, they get to a decent point stop, and then you start comboing with your, 26 card hand, and they go, cool, max C.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're drawing hand traps. They're drawing imperms.
Right.
Ashes.
Yes.
Ghosts.
Yes. That's why I changed my perspective as we got more and more of these hand traps. I thought, oh, this isn't going to work. Yeah, this is going to get out of control. Yeah, so I completely agree, guys. Completely agree. Diablos, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So guys, again, I can't thank both of you enough. What a wonderful discussion tonight. So again, I've got Diablos's information, guys. If you want to follow him on Twitter, it's at I am Diablos. And then again, you can be looking forward to his tournament video, which I'm in the middle of editing. I've almost got it finished. And that's going to be uploaded soon, so you can see that Unchained deck that he took first place with. And then again, big shout outs to you, Big Toads, for joining us. We loved having you on. He's got content that he was telling me that he's looking forward to posting soon. He's got a sealed only series that he does with another guy from our locals. Shout out to Will, I believe. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Will Barnes.
yes. So we're very excited that both of you guys are on the channel. Thank you again, both of you, for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome.